Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jay and Jack Show. My name is Jay. What? What was that?
That was my Donald Duck. I didn't have enough water.
From Raleigh, North Carolina, it's the Jay and Jack Show. Starring Jay and Jack, with special guest Tad Stones. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh, man. Jack, did you listen to the first bonus episode of the Jay and Jack Show yet?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
But it's in my queue.
Oh, thanks.
Well, the problem is, you said, did you listen to this? We were talking about Netflix with, spoiler with Tad, and it's like every day there's something. Oh, I want to watch that. So I got like 20 shows I got to try and catch up on.
What you need to do is you need to start going on walks. One, to so you don't die. But two, because while you're walking, that's a great time to listen to podcasts.
Well, how am I going to listen to them?
On your phone.
Oh, I guess I could download them.
There's an app you can.
What's
the
app?
To podcasts? Podcasts.
I just put it on my computer. So I could walk down.
That's the whole point of podcasts, is to put it on your mobile device.
Well, I used to. I had your
iPod. Yeah, iPhone is just one aspect of it is an iPod.
That's true. I don't download music or anything like that to my phones.
Well, I mean, again, you can just stream it. You don't have to download it.
That's true. I could just click on Jay and Jack.
Subscribe to it, and then it's on the thing.
I would have to subscribe to it. Can't I just hit Jay and Jack and just...
Don't you want the latest episode? If we're asking our listeners to subscribe, you're not going to subscribe to our show?
Oh, I'm subscribed right now.
There you go.
Because that's what you should be doing. Subscribe today.
Well, did you listen to the most recent bonus Survivor with Jay Jack?
I did. Zach was he's a little more patient this time.
But did you listen to his references at the end of the episode?
Yeah, Bun Patty Bun.
Yeah.
Who taught him that?
So in the bonus episode of the Jay and Jack Show, one of the segments was a lot of the different takes of our intros.
Oh, okay.
So one of them was you did Bun Patty Bun.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah. And then one did Ralph. So after he heard that episode, it was Colleen was to it in the car. He just kept saying, "I'm Ralph and I'm Bun Patty Bun" the whole weekend.
So that's why he said it.
That's why he said it. Yeah,
because he goes, "I'm Bun Patty Bun."
Yeah, so he heard the Jay and Jack Show bonus episode, and
did he know it was me saying Bun Patty Bun?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was Friday we do movie night where we make popcorn and watch a movie, and he was like, "I'm Bun Patty Bun," and that's what he was doing all weekend.
I was wondering why. I go, well, who taught him that? Bun Patty Bun.
So that's a little teaser there for our patrons give $5 or more a month. The first Jay and Jack bonus episode, we released it a couple weeks ago at this point, and if you listen to the bonus Colleen and Zach challenge episode about Survivor, that's what Zach made.
He seems to always pick the winner. How convenient of him.
He picked the yellow team to start out, and then when it looked like blue was going, he was like, "I'm blue team."
So he's clever.
Yeah. And he doesn't like losing. So
no,
it's a great combination. Dad. Great combination to have.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
anyway.
you lose, Zach. Sometimes you lose.
That's true.
So he's a Padre fan now until he gets older and realizes that it's not such a good thing.
The Padres on the up and up. So
they are.
I think the reason because he says because Colleen's like, and the Yankees, and the Yankees, but I think he likes the San Diego Padres because he likes San Diego. So
he's always talking about going to San Diego.
Yeah. So I think big part of his Comic-Con and then the trolleys. He loves the
because he said
trolleys.
We had him. Was it last weekend we had him? Or weekend before?
I can't remember.
But he goes, we said we're going somewhere. He goes, we're coming home to your house. He goes, or you were coming to pick him up. Are we going to San Diego? I go, no. Where'd you get that?
So, and he loves big hotels, so we usually stay in a big hotel in downtown. So it's San Diego has all of his favorite
Does he
things.
like to get the ice?
The ice?
Getting ice.
Ice.
The ice machine.
Oh, no.
No, he doesn't like doing that? Because your younger sister always liked to get the ice. Come on, Dad, let's go get the ice. I go, okay.
I don't think I get ice when we go to hotels.
I do.
What am I going to do with the ice?
I put a cold drink in it.
But we have refrigerators in the room.
It's not as cold. It has to be cold. Just...
Generally, I just drink water when I'm on the road. So I'll go to I'm in San Diego. There's a 7-Eleven right by Petco Park. I'd either go to that 7-Eleven or the Ralph's. If we get there, depending on the Ralph's that's over there in downtown, we'll get water from there and just get a big pack of like 40 water bottles.
Yeah,
and that'll last us.
I like my water cold.
I can drink it.
I can drink
room
it warm,
temperature.
but I like my water cold.
It's just easier that way. It saves more space in your fridge. We'll tip, little life hack for the people at home. So Jack, we are back. We took a couple weeks off. We were back with a slate of 4 episodes that we'll be doing. Our first today is with Tad Stones,
who always gives you tons of information.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just like listening to him is like going, wow, it's like being.
It's like you're there.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Tad Stones, a longtime Disney animator, was his probably his claim to fame is a lot of work that he did on Disney Afternoon with Gummy Bears, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
I always forget to thank him because he kept you guys quiet as kids.
Darkwing Duck, he actually created and show ran Darkwing Duck, among just a large list of things, and he talks about a lot of it in our interview with him. But excited to have him on our 5th episode here. And this second block of episodes, we'll have Joe Garfine.
Oh, okay.
You're not excited about Joe?
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Joe Opinionated.
Joe Opinionated.
For those in
I'm
the know.
kidding, of course. We love Joe.
Yeah, so so we have her. We also have author Melody Simpson on the show, and we'll close out this block of episodes with Ryan and Jen from The Transmission.
Always great.
So it'll be great to catch up with them. And then after that, we'll take a couple weeks off because Jack will be in California.
San Diego.
And then we'll finish up with our last 4 episodes of the season. So hopefully everybody's been enjoying the Jay and Jack show. All right, Jack, I think it is now time to talk to Tad.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. With us today is a legendary figure in animation, longtime Disney artist, and all-around amazing person, Tad Stones. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Good to be with you again.
That build-up, I thought you had a different guest.
Yeah, I was like looking around. I was saying, legendary? Really?
Well, it's and for those longtime Jay and Jack listeners, Tad has been a longtime friend of the show. Whenever we had our marathon podcast, you were always gracious to jump on, usually late at night, and you were always good to go for like a couple hours. It was amazing. It would always like kind of keep us through the dark times of the middle of the night or something like that. So
yeah, that's where my fan base on the East Coast lives, in the middle of the night. Generally, they're hanging upside down from branches.
But yeah, and the thing about, we haven't done that in a while, and what I love about, or my hopes or my goals of this show is like a chance to talk to some of our old friends that we don't get to talk to or haven't gotten to talk to in a while. So Tad was definitely high on that list. So appreciate you coming on the show, Tad.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm in between conventions, so I made time for you guys.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I'm a jet setter.
Yeah, you're doing these appearances now, and anybody that follows you on Facebook or whatever, like you're putting like these really cool art pieces together. Has things exploded since the DuckTales reboot, which I love? It's one of my favorite shows on TV right now. But has there been a resurgence for you?
They did a great job. They just had the
Della Duck episode.
Della Duck episode, which I knew some stuff about and I couldn't say anything about. So, and the entire crew was excited for that one to come out, and not just the people who literally worked on it, but even the other teams who were working on other episodes were excited for that to come out. Just answering who's the mom of Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
I know. but they did it so well. Like it was such an amazing like kind of like survival story slash mother story. Like it had a lot of different elements, and something that the show does more often than not, or maybe I'm just an emotional person, but like I'll tear up a little bit, and this one had those moments as well. But
and it starts out pretty dramatically. I've never had a character spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the episode yet, but basically she crashes on the moon. She's trapped under a piece of wreckage, and a giant engine is about to fall on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps kicking the thing, and it does not move. And she just stops and looks at the thing that's above her that's now shifting and coming. It's going to fall any second. And she just looks at her leg that's trapped and says, "Oh, phooey," which is what Donald Duck says all the time.
Yep.
And the next time we see her, she's got a robot leg.
Yeah. That's intense for a kid's show.
Oh, very much so.
Really intense.
But they do it so well because I watch it with Zach, my son who's almost 5. Where it's
Does
engaging.
He cover his eyes though.
He's kind of a scaredy cat, so like there's a lot of DuckTales is an adventure type show. So he like whenever there's like a thematic danger or something like that, he'll like but he really likes the show.
But in that case, I mean, it's not like they showed her sawing through.
No, exactly.
The leg or anything. For a little kid,
127
they just see her walking away.
Yeah, exactly.
A little older, you're saying, wait, she's got a robot leg.
Yeah.
Well, how did she get to the moon?
Well, it's a big season 1 storyline, and again, what they do is what's really cool is there's like this big overarching story.
Yeah,
but then there's
don't spoil now.
Which I'm not, but then you also have like individual adventures in each episode generally.
Okay.
And so that was related to because it was kind of like, and but that was never explored in the original DuckTales, right? Or not even in the Carl.
No. Della, as far as I know, was mentioned once in a comic. And then she was in the first cartoon of Huey, Dewey, and Louie where you read a note from the kid's mom. I think she's labeled Dumbella. So again, the guys doing the show go back to the source material, which is not DuckTales. It includes DuckTales, of course, all the Carl Barks stuff and history. The Don Rosa, who's second to Carl Barks is the one who is the person who created Scrooge McDuck.
Yep.
And a lot of the ducks that are now part of the Disney, certainly in comics, you just say, oh, those are regular Disney characters, and he created most of them. Back to Donald Duck comic strips.
Yep.
Donald Duck cartoons. And not just DuckTales, but the entire Disney Afternoon. When they had it, they asked, how much of the Disney Afternoon can we use? And management said, all of it. So they are building a unified universe of the characters of the Disney Afternoon. So you've heard mentions of many of the shows, and I think you'll be surprised at who pops up. And every time it's in a different way. They're not just, oh, I remember that character and here he is exactly the same. I tell people at cons that it's like if you were doing a new Sherlock Holmes or Robin Hood, you wouldn't go back to the previous movie and continue the story or keep the exact same characters. No, you're doing your own movie. It's like Daniel Craig, James Bond is James Bond, but he's not Sean Connery, James Bond.
Yeah.
Right.
There's things that are the same in their universes, let alone Roger Moore and everybody in between. So that's what they've done with DuckTales, which actually is different for animation, where it's not just the old, these guys are all on the back lot and we've written a part for them and it's the same actor coming out.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we've rebooted. This is a new version of this classic, Tales. And they've just done a fantastic job. You realize everybody working on the show, a few actually worked on the original stuff, but they're all fans of the original show.
Yeah. Like, And you can tell like and for those who don't know, Tad created Darkwing Duck and was a showrunner for that show, as well as your executive producer on third season of Gummy Bears.
Yeah, I was the story editor, and I think co-producer was the title. And then Chippendale Rescue Rangers, I co-created that with Jim Magon, and then I went on to run the show, for the bulk of it, and then was taken off toward the end when I started working on Darkwing. And then after that, because I started in feature animation, I was then assigned to create all the spin-off shows of the feature films. So, or not all of them, but many of them. So Aladdin and Hercules and Buzz Lightyear Star Command. And the last one we did was Atlantis, but the movie debuted and did not do well, and they promptly canceled our show. So we only finished like 3 episodes that we cut together for a video.
Atlantis is one of those ones that it's always on those. It's an amazing Disney film that nobody knows about, or like it often gets overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
But being friends with you, Tad, is great because whenever there's that friend or something, you're having beer or something with somebody, and they're like start harping on the direct to video sequels, like, oh, I'm the friends with the guy that created that.
It's a blot on my soul. Yes. Although, I mean, what's really sad, as they went on, their animation got better and better, and was easily up to the level of 2D animation that, let's say, Little Mermaid had.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, some of the last ones, there were literally some feature animators who were animating on them because features had moved into CG. But the stories didn't always get better. They have a few that are real standouts. Although I got to say, the first one was Return of Jafar, and that was a 5-part, pilot to bridge the movie and the television series.
Yep.
And I talked to Home Video about their interest in releasing that in video. And they weren't until they released the video of Aladdin, and it made so much money. I went back to them, and this time they were interested. And anyway, they decided to put it out. And all I was trying to do is to keep our budgets up. I didn't foresee any fantastic future, but I think it cost in the neighborhood of $3.5 million, and it made in the neighborhood of $200 million.
Wow.
Domestic.
And you got like 2.5% of domestic gross, right?
Yeah, stuff like that. All I know is that had it been a live action film, and even if you look at it and you say, the only reason why it sold so much is that people love the original movie so much. Having said that, in live action terms, if you did a crappy sequel to a successful movie that had that much profit between how much it cost and how much it made, I would have had a 7-year deal. New cars in my driveway, from the studio.
Yep.
But in animation, it's like, hey, what else you got?
But as a kid, like the trilogy, the Aladdin trilogy, I loved all 3.
Well, that's the thing. Now I go to conventions and people are genuinely affectionate toward Return of Jafar, which is hard for me to take. And there's nice stuff, especially the first half, which our Australian studios animated. There's nice stuff in it, but again, it was actually, we didn't have any special amount of time or anything. In fact, I think looking back on it, we might have had a little less time than doing any given 5 episodes.
Well, the show was great.
Well, by the company.
Well, yeah. What are your thoughts on, because they're doing these live
okay. Hold on. To finish up my career, I was shown the door basically at Disney in 2003. And then I went on to do like a Brer Rabbit video at Universal. I worked a little bit as a storyboard artist on Bob's Burgers, but then just released on Blu-ray, I did 2 animated Hellboy films that have been re-released recently because of the new movie. And then my final project before I retired was a show on Netflix So I was able to go out with the cool kids. Oh yeah, I did a Netflix show.
You know, like all the cool kids are doing. I guess you're in the industry. Is there anybody that doesn't have a Netflix show? Like, it seems like they'll greenlight anything. Like, is that just how it is over there now, or is that just an exaggeration?
I gotta say, when it was announced that I was doing a Netflix show, I suddenly got all sorts of calls. Who do I talk to at Netflix? Who do I talk to at Netflix? Treating it like it was any other network. And I said, there's no one to, and this has changed, I think, now. But it was like, no, you don't understand. There's no one to talk to. If you notice, those deals aren't with creative individuals. All the deals that are being announced are with studios, because the studio you had to have the money to finance your project completely, get it done, and then put it on Netflix. And Netflix will say, okay, we'll pay you this much after it's been on for this length of time. Mm-hmm. Now, what's changed in the animation is the same way so what's changed since that time is in the live action side of things is they definitely approach creative people and saying, what are your dream projects? What would you like to do? And that's the cool thing about Netflix. Animation wise, they've basically just started doing that again. So they've gone up to, these guys who've directed animated films like Glenn Keane, who didn't direct, but it was a lead animator. Glenn's doing a project over there. I know a lot of people have pitched, and it's that kind of, okay, they have a logarithm that says, here's what you've done in the past. This is how much it's done. Here's the content you're talking about. This is how attractive that content is to our audience. Okay, insert computer noises from the 60s. And then out comes $40 million to do your series of X many episodes. And they're done. You go off and do your series. That's so crazy. You don't have that kind of interference or helpful guiding hands that many networks would give.
Well, and there's some incredible animation. Like BoJack Horseman is one of the most intense dramas I've ever seen. It's a comedy kind of cartoon show, but it's so dark and it goes into so many I need to take a break sometimes watching that show. But I don't know if that show could have existed outside of the Netflix ecosystem.
Although I gotta say, there have been shows that there was a show called Over the Garden Wall that was on Cartoon Network, and to this day I don't know how they got it on the air. It is it's a great show. It's totally charming. It's in this old-fashioned style. It's very creepy, and yet that just got on, Netflix because some executives believed in it, and thought, this is really cool. Let's do this. So it can happen elsewhere. Now, things are all going to change when Disney,
I know,
has Disney Plus, because they're pulling back they're going to be exclusive, so that if you want to watch, I guess Captain Marvel is going to be their first exclusive. And I have no idea if it's a window. Again, I am retired. I have nothing officially to do with the Disney company. But evidently,
that means you can be honest.
if you want to stream Captain Marvel, I assume it'll still be on Netflix. I assume it'll still be on iTunes. I could be wrong there, but basically, the only area where you're going to watch it is on Disney Plus, and that, I think that goes for everything they own. So that's not just Marvel. Yeah. That's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Is that on the ABC shows?
And I don't know how, because I don't know if they're going that far. Maybe.
Well, they own such a large stake in Hulu, though, too, because they bought out Fox, which was one. So I think Correct. They own 2/3 of Hulu as well.
Yeah, so maybe they have plans for, this is where we're going to put this kind of material, and this is going to be Disney Plus. I know, since I started feature animation, we used to check out 16 millimeter films of all the classics whenever we wanted. Mm-hmm. And we could certainly look at stuff on our moviolas that we all had in our room. So we were very familiar with Dumbo and
Mm-hmm.
Pinocchio and Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella and all the features leading up to the rebirth,
Yep.
But for a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I want that on DVD, but it's in the vault."
Yeah, the Disney Vault.
Yeah, and what they're saying is with Disney Plus, they're opening the vault. There will be no vault.
Yeah.
All the stuff will be accessible there. So I don't know if it's there all the time or they'll just
Have it rotating
through.
I
But that's
can't imagine
fantastic.
they release it all at once. Probably rotate it.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see.
I'm hoping that will include a certain masked duck that we finally get up back. So
Because I mean, they've never done a. Have they done a full release of that on DVD? Did they get
No.
them all out?
no, they did. They basically put together a package that out here anyway, it's sold at Costco every once in a while, and that's it. It's and it's not all the episodes.
Why?
We had heard when it's just because it's totally for business reasons. It's like they're not thinking of, oh, and now we can do a nice, matching set of all the episodes or collector's edition. It's not that big a market. So whatever reason they put out, some of Gummy Bears, some of Rescue Rangers, some Tailspin. I could be wrong, but I don't think any of the shows have literally every episode. Anyway, so
it is frustrating.
there was
'cause
no way to get it. We had heard back when, this is like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, something like that. Netflix had a bunch of the Disney afternoon shows on, and we heard from fans in Germany, for instance, that Darkwing was actually showing over there. That there was something they weren't getting that we got, but all the episodes of Darkwing were on. So we were hoping they would just kind of rotate them through, and we would see it. But hopefully they don't have a vendetta against Darkwing. Of course, Darkwing now the new Darkwing has shown up in DuckTales, so it's part of that universe.
The new DuckTales, and he's Launchpad's hero, and I feel like they set him up really well in that episode, as as this actor did his own stunts and everything. Like I feel like there's more there that they want to explore. You may know because you.
Well, you know what? I tell fans at every convention who question it, especially the ones who say, "Oh, I don't like that he's just an Adam West Batman in that universe." It's like no character in that series has their story told in one episode.
Yeah.
You think they're a certain way, and then you find out, wait, Flintheart Glomgold isn't Scottish; he's South African.
I know.
And that applies back to his comic origins.
Exactly. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. So these guys know their lore.
Yes.
And Frank Angonis, who is the co-producer and head of story for the show, he dressed up as Darkwing 3 years in a row for Halloween, and then he did a school book report on the pilot episode.
That's awesome.
So he's not going to leave Darkwing just to be an image on a TV screen. Now, if he comes back, I don't know, he could be in an old folks' home. So who knows? But again, they're rebooting, but they've certainly got. Not going to let things just sit there. So the story is not told. The problem is for Darkwing fans is the show is called DuckTales, not Darkwing Duck. So they told me this long story they want to tell. They know what they would like to do with Darkwing Duck. But, that means aside from him being mentioned and being the inspiration for Launchpad's entire life, it's like one episode a season. So you get running gags about it, he gets referred to, the bobblehead pops up. But the actual story, I think there'll be another episode this season. And hopefully they're already working on season 3, hopefully one there that, shows his potential in their universe.
Yeah, there's definitely
Frank is
more
dying
there.
to do it. It's never been a secret over at Disney.
Yeah, and but that's what's so great about it, is like everything, like it encompasses everything, and it's done with love. The voice acting is fantastic. Like they're all this past year at Comic-Con they had Bobby Moynihan, Danny Pudi, and Ben Schwartz. They were all there, and they had the best time. But you could just the way they all do their characters and everything, it's so good. And even the guest spots they get, like Lin-Manuel Miranda and Don Cheadle.
Yeah, well, Lin was a huge DuckTales fan, or Disney Afternoon fan. So there was a time when he was working on, I forgot what it was. I think it was Moana around that time, that he on his own just posted, some videos online of just him singing the various theme songs. They're just little short things. He just did it because he was a fan.
Let's take a moment for a quick commercial break. But yeah, just it's an amazing show, and it's cool. They've kind of at least brought you into, or at least keeping you abreast of what's going on, which is neat that they're respecting, the people that were, big contributors to what they're building now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I'm always and before it was on the air, there were a lot of naysayers. There's still a few
at
that
this
I
point,
meet, but it's like, give it a chance to be on the air, and I explain how it's different. And now I actually, if there's somebody who hasn't seen it who's got the attitude of, I don't know, I gave it a try, and then I said, look, this is what happened during the season. I just named certain gags and all that, and they end up being excited and go search it out. And again, if I shill for it, it's purely out of my appreciation for the show. So, and I mean, I don't think I've said anything to them that they've literally done. I've never handed them I've handed them an idea that I'm sure they didn't do. But I'm always pushing them, to go farther. It's as opposed to, that's not quite like such and such,
Yeah. No, it's cool and excited to see. It's almost because they did 6 episodes this season, took a long break, and then they had this Della Duck episode. But I hear they're gonna take a break after this too in terms of releasing episodes. We're like, come on, I want to see the next.
I just found out the other day that was someone mentioned that. Oh, now they're taking another break. I go, what? I didn't know that at all.
Is it because of how long it takes?
You got to realize that's not the production. All those hiatuses, they've had shows piling up. It's because the channel has a reason they want to relaunch, or they need a bunch of episodes because they're going to make a huge big deal out of it in a certain time. For instance, one of the longest hiatuses was because they wanted to kind of recreate the Disney Afternoon on Friday evenings.
Oh.
Not literally the same shows, but they wanted to have all new animation. So DuckTales had been on for I think 11 episodes or something like that. And so that break was totally so that the other shows could catch up, but it really hurt, and Big Hero 6 is done by friends of mine, the guys I did Hercules with and half of my shows actually. Buzz Lightyear, Bob Scully and Mark McCorkle, who created Kim Possible. They only had 1 episode, I think, on. I think they did their pilot, and then they were told, oh, no, we're taking it off the air. No, because we're doing this really cool thing months from now, but it's just like,
oh, my gosh.
So I have no idea of why there's a hiatus now, because
such a
after that long one, everybody said, oh, this is great, because there'll be less time between episodes. And it's like, well, not so fast.
It's almost like Lost.
Yeah.
But in this Netflix world where we're so spoiled, where we binge stuff all the time, DuckTales is the only show that I watch now that has these breaks, and I haven't had cable or anything in 6-7 years, so I pay for the season on iTunes, so that's how I watch it. So I'll get the email the following day saying you have a new episode of DuckTales, but there'll be a period of time like, what, did they change seasons? I was missing. I'm like, no, there's been no new episodes. What the hell? But anyway.
Well, what happened to me is I was all set, to record the Della Duck episode. I was looking forward to it, and and all that. And I do have cable, and it malfunctioned that morning.
No.
Maybe it malfunctioned earlier, but because I have a TiVo set up, remember those?
Yeah.
And it needs a tuning adapter to work with it. Well, that thing just crapped out.
Oh, dang.
So I was on all morning with them and went to the next city. Instead of waiting for a technician to pick up a new box, I got the last one. And then it didn't seem to work. They'd have to send out a technician anyway. And then after X many hours, it had loaded up or whatever, and it was fine. So thank goodness there's and again, not being paid, not a shill, but there's a Disney app called Disney Now. And as long as you're a cable subscriber, you can watch new episodes and the entire season that's been on the air so far. It doesn't show up until it's been on the air plus a couple of hours. So I was able to watch it. Otherwise, I'd be throwing things or going over to Frank's house and say, "Let me see it now."
There was something about when you were talking about Aladdin, and it wanted to make me kind of bring up these live action kind of recreations of these animated classics. And I think in general, most of them have been fun and I've enjoyed them. Lion King looks really cool, this is just might be an internet thing doing what the internet does, which is complain about a bunch of stuff. But Aladdin has me worried like that it's going to be a disaster. Do you have any opinion on that? The blue Will Smith?
Well, it's like to me, it's I have not seen them all, but I think they're most successful for me anyway, the farther away they go.
Yeah.
In other words, they go to the source material. So one of the first one, if not the first one, was Maleficent with Angelina Jolie. And I loved that movie. I thought it was great that it's like, no, here's how we're taking. And again, they went back to source material. Mm-hmm. They're not redoing the cartoon. Whereas Beauty and the Beast one, when they're slavishly following the cartoon to a certain extent, it's like, I liked it better it was animated.
Yep.
So, but the new Aladdin, everybody looks at it and says, oh, this isn't going to work because they're comparing him to Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But if you say, wait, they're not singing the same songs, it's a different story, it's a whole different movie with the same characters, then it could work. It's just like, I happen to think Will Smith is a very entertaining individual. Is he going to try to play it like Robin? I doubt it. I worked with Robin on the second one, or third one, I guess, technically.
Well, and that's just it. It's almost, out of that original trilogy, he wasn't on the second one, right? Because I think there's like a falling out between Robin and Disney or something.
Yeah,
if I know the history
and
right.
Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson, was the guy doing our show, so we were fine with it because, again, remember the origin of it was just the opening to our show that then went out on. See, again, it always throws me when people say the trilogy. I go, what are you talking about? Did I miss one? And then I realize, because I don't count the feature. To me, that's
okay, so you don't count Prince of Thieves
thing.
Or whatever it was?
Yeah. And so to me, it was there's two of them. Mm-hmm. But, again, I came to Disney 5 months after Ron Clemens. I think Ron came in January. I came in June, maybe came in February. I used to share an office with Ron Clemens. I did bad in-betweens with Ron. Well, Ron, wrote and co-wrote and co-directed Aladdin. So I talked to Ron and John Musker, before I did it, when they had no problem with it. It's like, hey, that's what Disney does. You make use of characters.
Yep.
And it got to the point that the guys who had done a Pocahontas were saying, wait, we haven't heard anything about a Pocahontas sequel at the time they did do them. And they took it as, they worried about it as a slight.
Oh, we're not good enough.
So it wasn't like they're angry at them doing it. It's like the guys felt like, well, how come we're not getting one?
And they did one. It wasn't that good.
Yeah. I have been told that the story was of the prequels included one of the early executives, the head of feature animation during the time of the Rebirth. really felt like TV animation shouldn't exist because he felt, and certainly not
Really?
video. Yeah, because
wasn't
in his
Katzenberg
mind,
the guy?
what I've been told, I mean, I was never at one of these meetings, but I have it on Decent Authority. The guy says whenever there's a meeting with him in it, sooner or later the conversation gets around to this place shouldn't exist.
Wow.
Because he sees it as you're putting the Disney name, which is the gold standard of animation, and you're putting it on stuff that's substandard. Whereas I was at Michael Eisner's house in the very first meeting, which was the Sunday at the end of the first week Michael got to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
That's how important he thought animation was.
Yeah.
And he had this meeting about TV animation. Now, Michael started in TV animation at ABC. Anyway, their feeling was, Michael and Frank Wells, their feeling was that Disney is the top name in animation. So everywhere there is animation, Disney should be there, and we should be the best in that field. So it doesn't mean that TV animation is going to look like feature animation, or I don't know, if we had done segments on Sesame Street, they're not going to look like feature animation, but they should be great shows that the Disney name can be put on. And that started, Gummy Bears and the Disney Afternoon, which everybody looks back on fondly. Admittedly, once you start doing spin-off movies, it's blurs the thing. I get that, but it was funny that now it's just an accepted thing, and now there's not any of them anymore because now the sequels are done by the actual studios.
Yeah, which is I finally got to see Wreck-It Ralph or Ralph Breaks the Internet, and it was amazing. Like it was.
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah.
And Frozen 2 is coming out, and
yeah,
and you have Toy Story 4, which that one has me look like I feel like they ended that story so well. That it's risky going to Toy Story 4. But
except again, and it's the standard answer, but it's like it doesn't take anything away from those films. And if you love all those characters, let's say a dramatic thing happened in your life. They do a behind the scenes film starring, who would I say? George Clooney, a young George Clooney as Jay Glatfelter, Gabby Hayes as Jack, and they tell the story of the loss of broadcast and what you had to overcome, and culminates in the trip to Hawaii. And you tell this fantastic, humorous, fun-filled story. Well, that's done. That story's done.
I have to be Gabby Hayes.
Now, you guys rise from the ashes with a new broadcast, and you have another adventure. And somebody does a movie of that because it's like, I love those guys. They were wacky.
I just like that I was played by George Clooney. Thank you,
I'm Gabby Hayes.
Anyway, so it's
kind of not fair. But
it only matters is it a great story? Is there, are the characters true to themselves, and am I entertained? And if you satisfy that, then do more. I don't care what number you put on them, but the only thing is, and I don't think it is because the company realizes the value of new things. It's like, you don't want to chase sequels that don't have a great story. And for every bad sequel, there are people who believed in the story at the time. But if you chase it for money reasons,
you get Cars too.
Take away from your new stuff. So as long as you're coming up with new projects and pushing the envelope, that's great. So who knows? We'll see how the sequels are. I mean, I feel. I've never been precious about this stuff. This goes back when VHS tapes were coming out, the first ones, and they announced that, I think it was Pinocchio. I don't know if it was their first one or certainly one of the early ones was going to come out.
The first three were, because I collect VHS tapes, but the first three were Robin Hood was the first one, Pinocchio was the second one, and Dumbo was the third one, I think.
Okay. Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland have always had they appeared on TV way back in the day when Walt was still alive. They were on the Disneyland show. And part of that is that, especially Dumbo, is a very short film.
It's only 60 minutes, which is crazy.
Yeah. So technically it's a very long featurette. But I mean, I remember animators when it was announced that those things should be classics. They shouldn't be on VHS tapes, which is just so weird to think of. But you have to think back in the day, it was like, they should be special things. And I said, do you own a copy of Snow White? Oh yeah, I got a Snow White, and it's even got Coal Black and the Seven Dwarves on it. And someone else says, yeah, I got one. I said, well, how come you're special and you get tape, but the person who loves Disney and Disneyland and all that, they don't get a tape? I feel the same way for the people who say Star Wars Land or whatever, Galaxy's Edge should not be in the Disneyland parks. And I always say, okay, so you're going to stand in the walkway, and as these wide-eyed, super excited 8-year-old boys and girls come running at full speed, oh my God, this is going to be so wonderful. You're going to stop them and say, no.
You're going to have 40-year-olds.
You're not allowed to enjoy this entertainment because it does not fit within the traditional themes of this park. It was like, get out of my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand that. It's just like Walt was an entertainer. A lot of his genius was that he had the taste of the common man and then knew how to push it. But a lot of his decisions were, you know what would be cool? Let's do this. Or I miss this from my childhood. Let's do Main Street, and then found super talented people to pull off this stuff. And he always pushed them, and they kind of understood what he was going for, and they carried the tradition on. And it's like, Tomorrowland was always problematic because tomorrow always changed.
Yeah.
And Star Wars is a way of tapping into that original spirit, but it doesn't age. It's because it was long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, that's what's perfect about Star Wars is that tagline, because recently Zach was watching Star Wars, and he's like, so where is this? Or he saw the indoor moon. He was like, is that Earth? I was like, no, this is a galaxy far, far away a long time ago. And I was like, what? But even like for Disneyland, he loves trains. I was like, well, Walt Disney loved trains so much that he made like a train track at Disneyland. There's like actual trains there because he loved transportation and trains, and he created this park.
It goes all around the park.
But that's there's something magical about just any human that has a passion or love for something, then creates something out of that passion and love for something. So it's always, to me, that's what's always special about Disneyland. I've been to Disney World too, but there's something a little more special about Disneyland where it's like that was his thing that he made.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, go to Avatar Land, whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
But it's unless there's a convention next to it, it could be. So I don't know that I ever will. But it is, I think all that stuff is just brings new excitement, to the parks, and it's just a cool way of going. So Walt Disney World has a different feel, and videos I see from Shanghai and China are amazing of new things that they have that we don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked at Imagineering for a couple of years, so I knew, I know the tricks of the haunted mansions. But I see stuff on these videos where it's like, oh, I see, they probably, I don't know, killed a virgin or something, and this is real magic that they're pulling off in this ride, because I have no clue how that's possible.
Like some of the animatronics now are like unreal.
Yeah, but this is less like things appearing all around you that weren't there a second ago, and your car is moving through. It just is amazing. But Disneyland always has so I get the people who love the bigger parks, but Disneyland does have a toy-like feeling to it because it's so condensed. Mm-hmm. That all the magic is right on top of each other.
It is so magical,
quicker to get to, and that's kind of cool. I grew up with that place. It was very sad last time I went that it had changed enough that certain shortcuts no longer worked. It
Oh
was like,
no!
wait, there's a building here. I used to cut from here to there to get to Adventureland or something, where suddenly I'm turning down streets where I have no idea where the street goes. This is different. So, you lose your silver pass, you tend not to go as much because I don't want a second mortgage on my house.
Well, we were going to, excuse me, we were going to go this summer. Because Zach, we felt like Zach was old enough, and
our whole family was going out there.
Yeah, but then we saw that the Star Wars was opening in May. It was like, maybe we should wait till next year or something because it's going to be an absolute madhouse this summer.
Anyway.
And it's one of those things where I'm now old enough to say, yeah, I sure hope the Marvel movies start crapping out because I'm going to miss a bunch if they keep going. I feel that way about Star Wars. It's like, God, I hope the crowds shrink enough that I can, get and actually see it before I keel over. So.
Yeah. You sound like me.
Yeah. Well, we go way back, Jack.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if Jack told you the story of how we met. I was driving my hot rod across the desert, and Jack runs, I was having, I kicked back, I was playing the harmonica. Jack runs out in his white lab coat and tackles me into this ditch, and, dadgummit, there's a bomb goes off, and I was safe, but Jack was irradiated by gamma rays,
I could never catch a break.
Yeah. That explains the lack of hair. And Tad used to have a full, beautiful head of hair.
Yeah, whatever.
But that reminds me, Colleen and I recently rewatched Indiana Jones because Zach watched Last Crusade. He really liked it. I was like, we go watch. We watched Crystal Kingdom or Crystal Head, Diamond, whatever the most recent
Crystal
one was.
Skull.
Crystal Skull.
Indiana Jones and the Crystal.
And I remember being okay about it, but almost giving into a lot of the criticisms about it. But watching it again, I don't know, 10 years later after that movie came out, it's like, actually, it wasn't that bad. I actually enjoyed it.
That was the last one, right?
The last one.
Hated it.
I don't know. I have a hard time.
Hated it.
You know what? I actually have 2 copies of it because I'll go to garage sales and pick up odds and ends.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always I saw it at a garage sale on a DVD, and it was one of those things where, well, I can get it for $1. I should have it just to, finish off the shelf. I evidently did that twice because I forgot I had it.
Well, maybe they gave you the second one free.
Buy one, get one.
Just take it, please.
Yeah. And I hear that, and I had no problems with it. I enjoyed it the first time around, but a lot of people are saying that about Solo.
Solo's great.
I love Solo.
Yeah.
And I saw we brought our who at the time 3-month-old, and he cried the whole time, so we didn't really get to enjoy it. But
were some sad scenes.
What, in Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
because I heard nothing but bad things about it, and I watched it and I go, I liked it. I don't know what
yeah
people hated.
It was a lot of fun. Well, to me, it's that same purist thing, of I guess they could spend a bunch of money and de-age Harrison Ford like they do Michael Douglas in Ant-Man, but it's like he's still going to run funny.
He's like 90 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, and I did want to. This is kind of changing subject a little bit, but I did want to ask
You're allowed. It's your show.
Your thoughts on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, if you saw it or not.
I loved it. I was so happy, as was, I believe, most of the animation community, that it got the best picture.
It was incredible. It's one of the most, not only one of the best comic book movies, but just animated movies. It was just an incredible...
Oh, yeah. It was pushing the boundaries of what animation does. I mean, I love the Latka pictures too, like Paranorman and Kubo of Two Strings and Coraline and all those. They also push the boundaries of puppet animation.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just it wasn't just the content It wasn't just that, oh, it's a cool story. It's like, no, they told it in whole different ways that we've not seen before. And it was great. I love it. In fact, that's definitely, I got a gift card for Christmas very late because we didn't spend Christmas down with the grandkids, but we had a much delayed Christmas just a few weeks ago, and I got an Amazon gift card, and it's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm pre-ordering, even though I have a copy of the movie for consideration for the various animation awards.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a copy of the movie, but it's like, no, I want the official thing so I can watch it digitally and I can see it in Blu-ray and all that. And on it is a director's cut that's like 2+ hours long. They basically, this is what we wanted to show, but we just couldn't fit it in. So I wouldn't think all that stuff is animated, but a lot of it is, some is animated and some I'm sure is storyboard. I could be wrong, but it's just like, I want more. I want to see how your creative process worked.
Yeah.
It's chock full of, artwork and visuals that, I'm super looking forward to that. I just, again, I have no problem giving, I love Ralph Breaks the Internet. I thought that was a great, a sequel that does something entirely different and just did it very, very well.
Yeah.
But I was just, again, so happy that, Spider-Verse took it.
Yeah, it was, and just how like each character, like each different had their own like animation style a little bit, or like Spider-Ham was very much, Spider-Ham, and
well, the art director of that show, of that movie, worked with me on which of my series? I want to say possibly Hercules and Buzz Lightyear.
Oh,
but
wow.
certainly Buzz Lightyear, yeah. So it's like, I was happy for him, and it was just kind of like, yeah, you're just proud of the people you worked with early in their careers. So I'm just very happy about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Tad, we are kind of coming up at the end of our time here.
End of our journey.
But it's always great getting to talk to you. Like your level of knowledge about your industry and your perspective.
Make me want to go to Disneyland.
The curse. Well, wait till Star Wars are fun. If nothing else, while everybody's lined up for that, you can do all the other stuff.
That's true. That's true.
So
Yeah.
what people don't realize when they put in, especially at Anaheim, they took away a lot of the backstage area and turned it into Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
People say, "Oh, it's going to be so crowded." And it's like, yes, but on the other hand, it's adding capacity to the park.
True.
Those rides will just suck up people that, not so there won't be huge lines, but it's not like it's the ordinary park and you're adding on thousands of people. It's like, no, it's a bigger park now.
Yeah, it's true.
Here's hoping they've got it all figured out.
Fingers crossed.
Well, it worked when they added California Disney.
Yeah, their solution there was to do a very boring place that nobody wanted to go to. The thing is, I was still at Disney at the time when they opened it up. And I remember, and they had a employee night, and it helps the cast members practice dealing with crowds and how the rides work and all of that. And I said, this is our only chance to see it with, it would be like having a preview of Star Wars. It's like, it's our only chance to see it without a bunch of crowds. Well, what had changed since the last time we had done anything like that was Disney was now a huge company. They had, brought in all of ABC, and this is before Marvel, but, the company was much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so the preview night was the biggest, for just the employee night, was probably the biggest crowds that park saw for the next 3 or 4 years.
Oh, man.
And now they've been constantly remaking it, and now Pixar is a huge part of it. So, and man, I went back and saw the, it's a fantastic ride. The
Tower of Terror?
No, I have not
Soaring?
gone back to see. I've yet to see the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is
Guardians of the
Is it
Galaxy
Soaring?
redo of that. But no, the Cars.
yeah, the Cars.
Ride
Oh,
is just fantastic. It's just it's fun as a soft thrill for the youngest kids who hit the right age.
is that a California Disney?
Yes.
Yeah, they have cars, and they basically recreated.
I've been there. I
We
forgot it
haven't
was
been there since that's been there.
California Disney.
We've been to California,
Cars?
but we haven't been there since Cars Land opened.
I've been there. Your mom and I went.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't go with you.
Yeah,
then.
but my wife and I. She goes. Let's go to Disney. We were out there. She goes, let's go to Disneyland. I go, without the kids and the grandkids. She goes, yeah. I go, are you serious? I probably had the best time I've had in 30 years going to Disneyland.
Because you didn't have to walk slow so the kids could keep up, right?
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have to keep track of kids. I think that was easy. But we went to Cars and we went to I forgot that was at California Disney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but we did. It was.
I didn't know anything about it. And it was just so great because I thought it was just the track part. But then they go into like a dark ride portion, which is like, Snow White or Peter Pan or Pirates. But what was amazing to me is it's to the size. Everything is in the size of Cars. It's built to their scale, not human scale.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into these rooms, but they're huge rooms. And it was I just was delighted by the whole thing, Kudos to all the guys who worked on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I know Zach's a big Cars fan, as any kid is. It's like one of those things. Cars.
We did say Zach would love being here.
It's something like Cars. Just it doesn't. All kids love Cars. It's like Paw Patrol or whatever. It's just like there's some addictive quality to Cars that I don't understand.
Well, I think kids have back in time, kids have always liked Cars.
Yeah, that's true.
Matchboxes and Hot Wheels and
it's true. But there's some.
No, back in caveman days, they had to use their feet, but everybody had a car.
Yabba dabba doo.
Oh man. Well, anyway, Tad, thank you so much. It's always great to talk to you. And are you doing San Diego this year? I know you haven't done it in the past couple years.
Actually, I just skipped one year because basically Lisa had a genealogy trip in the opposite direction, Northern California. So we went up there, and it was fantastic because I did all sorts of different things while she was doing that. But I've got I get a pro. Here's the thing, whereas most people have to plan to do San Diego, I have a pro badge, so I don't have to worry about a lottery to get my ticket. And my grandkids live in San Diego, so it's like I have a place to stay. So I assume I'll be going for at least part of it, because that's, again, for me, it's a social event for a lot of the artists that are there, people I only see at conventions. So I won't be having a table like I have at other cons. I won't be selling stuff, but James Silvani, who was the comic artist on the Darkwing comic books, he sells stuff. He has licensed Disney posters that often include Darkwing. He has a new Star Wars one out, I think, now. But I'll sign stuff that people bring to him or buy from him. I'll stop by their table and hang out for a while. The other person is Amy Meberson, who created the Disney Pocket Princesses, which is her fan comic that comes out once a week, just a one-panel comic. And she was the first one to put the princesses in the same house interacting. And it wasn't until I talked to her that I realized in all the marketing you see up until Ralph Breaks the Internet, the princesses were never allowed to interact. And even on advertising art, they never made eye contact. They're all looking out in a different direction. And it doesn't matter that every little girl who has more than one doll does adventures with all of them. It's just that was a company thing. Anyway, they were aware of her stuff, and they would hire her to do work. And then finally, Hasbro based a toy line on her designs, not literally the one she uses in the comic, but they had her do a kind of a younger version of what looks like a younger version. It's just very much her style of drawing. She designed a line of of princess toys for Hasbro, and they actually credited her in the press release, which is unheard
that's cool.
of. They had never done that. So, anyway, she and James often goes to conventions together, and they're the ones that, when I've done these big conventions, they're usually ones that they go to also. So I'm usually tabled right next to them. But on San Diego, I just show up there and sign stuff or hang out, knock over things like a clumsy old man. It's my brand. I have to build on it.
Well, if you're available, I don't know when our last panel is going to be. You should come out and hang out at our last panel.
Yeah, there you go. If you're on Saturday, it's usually Saturday. Or if not, we usually just kind of run into it at some point in time.
That's true.
Or Colleen usually.
Colleen does, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Tad!
A big hug for me.
She doesn't even give me a hug like that anymore, Tad, so be thankful.
Well, I believe me, I'm always thankful.
Oh, man. All right, well, Tad, thank you again. As always, it's a great pleasure and enjoy talking to you, and we'll see you around.
Very fun. Thank you, guys.
Thank you again to Tad Stones. It was a great interview, as always. Great time talking to him. And I think now it's time to close out the show.
The time is here. Trying to think of a Disney song.
Now it's time to say goodbye.
I wonder if he was talking about
I
forgot to ask him when he was talking about Disney shows, if it's a Wonderful World of Disney.
What do you mean?
When he was talking about Snow White and movies being shown on.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
It had to be a Wonderful World of Disney.
But wasn't it before that was like called Disneyland or something? That's how he funded Disneyland. Was that show on ABC or something?
There was a show on ABC when I was a kid. It was The Wonderful World of Disney.
Yeah, that was
Tinkerella
around
come out
forever. Yeah,
in living color.
But I think it first was called Disneyland. I think
Was it called Disneyland?
because like he used that show, he sold it to ABC or whatever to fund Disneyland, the park, or something like that.
It might have been.
There's Disney experts out there probably like, no, it's not.
Because he used to have Daniel Boone.
Yeah. Yeah, Wonderful World of Disney is definitely what it was called for a long time.
When I was a kid, that's what it. From what I remember, that's what it. Because it was on 7:00 on Sunday nights. You're in front of the TV.
Yeah,
in living color, but we had black and white.
Well, now you got HBO shows on Sunday night, which is not. I'm kind of a little bit of a lull before Game of Thrones comes back.
Yeah, middle of April.
Yeah, I think so, mid-April. Ooh. Yeah, they got that new Adnan Syed kind of story, the serial 4-parter, which would be interesting.
I finally saw the preview
of what that
Game
show.
Game of Thrones.
Oh, Game of Thrones.
I hadn't been watching it. What are you talking about?
I was talking about that new show that's like based on Adnan Syed's trial from Serial, the first season of Serial.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't want to watch it.
But anyway.
I'm watching shows on Netflix right now.
For Netflix, you should watch. Did you watch? Oh, you watched Russian Doll.
I told you.
I know you did. I'm saying, I just said, oh, you watched
it. On my Instagram account.
Did you take a picture of you watching it on your computer?
But I started watching, is it Afterlife?
Oh, the one with Ricky Gervais? Is it good?
I watched the episode. Well, I
saw that today.
I like it because it's Ricky Gervais's comedic timing and his acid tongue and stuff like that. But it's a sad.
It looks sad.
It's a sad premise.
Yeah.
But it's funny because he's funny.
Yeah.
But it's sad at the same time.
Okay.
It's a dark
comedy, or
I don't know if it's call it dark comedy or dark dramedy. Mm-hmm. The subject matter is dark.
Yeah.
So, but
okay.
I just saw it today. So let me watch this. So I watched an episode and then watched half the episode, but my granddaughter woke up, so couldn't sleep for another 10 minutes. And I'm watching Rebellion. It's about the Irish Republican Army.
Oh, okay.
Started out really slow.
Mm-hmm.
I almost gave up on it.
If you watch BoJack Horseman, I think you'd like it.
I've not seen that, no.
It's an animated show, but it's like an adult animated show. It's a comedy. It's hilarious, but it also gets really dark. It's Will Arnett plays BoJack Horseman. You have who played Jesse on Breaking Bad.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And Alison Brie is in it. It's a pretty good cast. But it's a really good show. And I didn't watch it. I was like, whatever.
I've seen people talking about it.
But it's Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. God, how did we forget Aaron Paul's name?
But it's really good. It's a very good show. Highly recommend. And it's it gets really dark, but also gets like very drama and whatever. It's very good. For an animated show, it's a really good show.
I'll give it a shot. I'll add it to my. I have a long list because
stick it in your queue.
Because every day there's a new show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It's like, stop.
give me a chance to catch up.
But there's no way you could watch them all.
No.
There's just no way.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. All right, Jack, you ready to close out the show?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. That's our show for this week. Give us a call at 385-309-0311.
Calling time.
Once again, it's 385-309-0311. Calling time with questions, comments, and or theories. Send an email to jayandjack@gmail.com. Once again, that's jayandjack@gmail.com. Join our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/jayandjackgroup. Follow us on Instagram at jayandjackshow, as well as check out all of the shows on the Jay and Jack Network at jayandjack.com and jayandjack.com/iTunes. If you like what we do, give us a review. Go to itunes.com and
5 stars.
5 stars, yeah.
Yeah, you could go there and give 4 stars, but you've already gone that far.
Yeah.
Just give the extra star.
There you go.
You don't want to see Jay cry.
I want to thank people that make this show possible. Our patrons, especially Tack from Tokyo, Eckhart Richter, Maggie Magnificent, Joanne with the Plan, the Drake, and Ed the Creepy Mailman. This show is made possible by Jacob Parr, who does our artwork, as well as Rob Francescini, who does our web design, Colleen, who does our web posting, Jack, who is co-host on this show, and then me, who is also co-host, producer, and music creator. It's a lot of things.
Nice. I'm Jay. I'm a music creator.
Which is nice. Anyway, that is it. Again, thank you to Tad, our special guest this week, and we'll see you guys next week. And I hope you enjoy that one as well. Until then,
hasta luego, and goodbye.
Wait, no, this is my show. I say it.
Oh, I'm used to saying it.
Hasta luego,
and goodbye.